Okay, a little bit of backstory. Last year, I opened a web store in video games, and I decided to just try and do a little bit with card games too. Now, I could buy this Foundation Jumpstart booster pack on a sale from the wholesaler that I'm applied to, and quite honestly, no one has showed any interest in this. So I just put it out of the wrapper. All the packs are still sealed, and I'm just gonna open them to see if there's anything interesting in them. I'm not gonna open all of them now, um, because that would be very long, and no one wants to see all that. But I will just give it a go, see how it is. Jumpstart boosters are a little bit different than your regular boosters. What it says is that you need to grab 2 of these packs, open both, shuffle them, and you have a draft-worthy deck. Now, a draft deck is of course 40 cards, so what I'm suspecting is that we will see roughly 12 lands among 2 packs. A bunch of creatures, instants, sorceries, a healthy mix of cards that you can use for play. Um, and I'm curious what that's gonna bring up. Um, so yeah. All right, there's actually a little bit of information on here. Let's just read it out. Why not? Welcome to Jumpstart. Make magic happen with the amazing mashups. Grab 2 boosters, shuffle them together, and you're ready to go. Let's jump in. First, grab 4 Jumpstart boosters. In each one, you'll find 20 cards, including lands, that are designed to play well together. Each Jumpstart booster has a team card on top that will give you an idea of what's inside. You and a friend each choose 2 Jumpstart boosters to build your 40 card decks, then open them up, shuffle, and you're ready to leap into action. Alright, so there are 24 of these, which means technically you can have 12 decks, and technically, in order to at least play something, you're gonna need 2 decks for 2 people. That's the bare minimum for Magic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate these into 4 boosters per video, and that's basically if it's fun enough that we can kind of compare the 2 decks that we got and how they would play against each other. I think that's probably the funniest thing we can do with these Jumpstart boosters before I just completely dismantle them and probably throw the cards online on gamesouls.nl or .eu. If you're interested in Magic card or video games, be sure to check it out. Links are also in the description. Alright, we're gonna grab these 4 and put this to the side. These are our 2 decks. I'm gonna open up the first. Okay. That's a waste of plastic. Dinner. This is about dinner, and apparently it's green monocolor, which is something I already suspected. Every pack will probably feature 1 color, so together you would have a dual color deck. Because otherwise it's going to be pretty hard to mix. Or if you're lucky, because it does make things easier, you're going to grab 2 of the same color. Because the 1 color deck is always easier to play with, in my opinion. So we have dinner. Dinner. It actually has a full blown out Magic background. Cool. Could have been like a token. Okay, we have Hurska Sweet Tooth. Whenever Hurska Sweet Tooth attacks, create a food token. Okay, that makes sense. Dinner. Which is a mythical. Then combined with a few commons. We have an uncommon. I'm gonna see which looks more interesting because I don't want to make this too long of a video. Okay, Tough Cookie. That's actually very thematical. When Tough Cookie enters, create a food token. A food token is an artifact with 2 mana and tap. Sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. So this really is life boosting. Should be a life boosting deck. Or at least this half should be. At the end of turn, target non-creature artifact you control becomes a 4/4 artifact creature. Okay. Sacrifice stuffed cookie, you gain 3 life. Okay, so there's a lot of sacrificing going on. I guess it all just has to do with eating. Trail of Crumbs. When Trail of Crumbs enters, create a food token. Again, food token. Whenever you sacrifice a food token, you may pay 1. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library. You may reveal a permanent card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your library in any order. Okay, Ginger Brood, which is an artifact creature food golem with haste. Ginger Brood can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Okay, interesting. Sacrifice Ginger Brood, you gain 3 life. So it's a hasty food token, basically. Then we have... okay. Driving Grove enters tapped. As it enters, choose a color other than green. Add green mana or 1 mana of the chosen color. That is a very clever design for something like this with the Jumpstart Boosters. That's clever. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 forests. So they're gonna go 8 to 12 on the cards. Basically 8 lands, 12 non-lands, 16 lands. That's 2 more than I prefer to use for a 40 card deck. But then again, I like to play it a little bit risky when it comes to my mana. Because I just love mixing up cards. That's my major pitfall when it comes to creating decks. I understuck on mana a little bit. Try to compensate it with some cool cards and some balanced mana costs, but it's not always easy. Alright, the second half is Blue Wizards. We're gonna have Hungry Wizards. Alright, Wizards. Dinner Wizards. And we have Naban, Dreams of Iteration. If a wizard you control entering causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So it basically just duplicate summoning triggers. That's cool. Starlight Snare, Fairy Seer. We have an Academy Journey Mage. This spell costs 1 less the cost if you control a wizard. That's tend to happen. When Academy Journey Mage enters, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. So, you know, mixing this, if a wizard you control entering causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control, at that point you would control it, so you could mix that up. Archomancer, that is one of the basic Jace cards from Magic Duels, I think, if I remember correctly. When Archomancer enters, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty useful for a spellcasting deck. We have a bunch of them. We have a flying creature, draw 3 cards with concentrate, that's always a good one. Remand, counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, put it into its owner's hand instead of into that player's graveyard. That's kind. You also get to draw a card because of it. So it's 2 mana, get to counter a spell, but you can expect it again, basically. Flying with Island Cycling. Pay 1 blue mana, discard this card, draw a card. Okay. Whenever you cycle Windcaller Avon, target creature gains flying until end of turn. That's pretty decent. And if you can bring it back with some black magic, you know, something of a necromancy style thing, that can be a pretty strong card. Would probably love to mix things up with a black stack instead of a green. But, we'll figure it out. Driving Io enters tapped. As it enters, choose a color other than blue. Add 1 blue mana or 1 of the chosen color. That would be green in this case. So, we have a rare and a mythic. And we have a tiny little blue and green deck. Now, I do want to say I have a buddy that I play Magic with. Maybe I'm just going to try these out. He can see these videos and know that I didn't mess anything up or anything. But yeah, we have a Wizard Dinner deck. This is called the Wizard Dinner. Just gonna combine the names, and that's what the name's gonna be. It's Wizard's Dinner. And who are they gonna play against? I'm curious. Explorers. Now, just imagine if the Explorers were with Dinner, they would just have green mana all around. How convenient is that? So, Explorers. We have a tireless tracker, which is a human scout with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, investigate. When you investigate, you create a clue token. It's an artifact with pay 2 mana, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a +1/+1 counter on tireless tracker. That's a cool mix. Now we have Go Forth, which is the exact same art as the art they used for that card. Go Forth has choose one, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Or target creature get +2/+2 until end of turn. Now, of course, looks like we're gonna have a lot of landfall abilities, so I think that's what you want to do with this. We have a Vigilance, Elf Scout, pretty cool. Fungus Bard with the Slimy Piper. Shardless Outlander, which is an artifact creature. Okay, you may play an additional land this turn, draw a card. That is Explore. Okay. We have Inoic Guide. When Inoic Guide enters, choose one, put a +1/+1 counter on Inoic Guide, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put this card on top. Okay, on top. That's a bit cheap. The Byway Courier dies, investigate. Okay. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It triggers it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. That's pretty cool. Trample on the Elf Scout. Whenever Primeval Herald enters or attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Something with non-token creatures. I gotta say, this is a very interesting stack. However, it is also awfully put together, because this would have benefited so much more from more landfall abilities, and it only has one card that has landfall, and if you don't have that, you're kind of just stuck. It has a lot for bringing in extra lands, but not much to really extra utilize that, and that is a shame. It is called Grave Robbers. Now I think the Grave Robbers is gonna mix very well with the Wizards, and so I think I might have mixed these wrong. But you know, that's the beautiful thing of chance. And since I'm always an unlucky guy, of course it's gonna be a terrible build together. Grave Robbers. So we have Grave Robber Explorers. That's worrisome. Alright, we have Gorex the Tomb Shell. Legendary creature Zombie Turtle. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of creature cards from your graveyard. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. It has Death Touch. Whenever Gorex the Tomb Shell attacks or dies, choose a card at random, exiled with Gorex, and put that card into its owner's hand. Okay. So it costs 8 mana, but if you have 3 creatures in your grave, it only costs 2 black mana, so that's pretty decent. Also, that is a pretty neat thing. With this, we're gonna have access to a lot of lands, so getting 8 mana is not even that far-fetched, but you know, 40 card decks, it's not gonna be a very long game, all things considered. So Gorex the Tomb Shell. Revoke Demise. The spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a creature card with mana value 3 or less. That's interesting. Return target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain 2 life. Cool. Alright, the Eternal Taskmaster, which is the basis of the Ard. Eternal Taskmaster enters tapped. Whenever Eternal Taskmaster attacks, you may pay 2 colorless mana and 1 black mana. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, this is Grave Robbers, alright. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Target player mills 3 cards. Okay. Death Touch. When Dice Cave Scavenger enters, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. Interesting. Eye Collector. Creature Fairy. Flying. Whenever Eye Collector deals combat damage to a player, each player mills a card. Okay. Got a Flying that gives you life for every time someone mills. And No, sorry, 4 milled cards, and it also makes someone mill 4 cards. Cool. Grave Strength. Now, I just want to say, if you are a Sekiro Shadow Die Twice player, and you look at this somewhat undead primate, that's bringing back memories, I'm sure. It does for me. We have the Graveblade Marauder, which is a Death Touch creature, Grave Digger, which is a staple, it's been around, Murder, destroy target creature, very simple, very effective. Wailing Ghoul, mill 2 cards, okay. Then we have Thriving Moor. Enter stepped, choose a color other than black, 1 black mana, 1 if you choose a color, yada yada. And of course, a bunch of swamps. Alright, I think, looking at these 2 decks, and I'll probably give it a go at some point, I don't know, I'll see. I think the Explorer's Grave Robbers is going to be the stronger of the 2. I think the synergy is better. The fact that you can get a lot of lands, which you can then use to cast all your grave robbing spells and the pretty strong creatures that are in the black side of this deck, makes it pretty strong. I think this deck has 2 very interesting concepts. The fact that you can add life fairly good with dinner is interesting, but it just doesn't really mix well with the wizards. Like I did say, I think there's a missed opportunity with the lack of landfall abilities in this part, but at least getting the lands is gonna match well with the spells that you have for grave robbers. So if these decks are put against each other, obviously luck of the draw is always a thing, but I think this deck would come out on top more often than this one. Once I figure out if that's true, I might let you know, I might not, because just saying which of these decks would win is not really interesting content, but who knows. Might just drop it down in the comments. Again, might not. We'll figure things out as we go. Thank you for watching. If I'm done with these, you can expect the rares to be live on gamesouls.eu or gamesouls.nl. If you're interested in magic cards or video games or anything of the sorts, be sure to visit, see what we have in stock. If you're outside of the Netherlands, Belgium, or Luxembourg, feel free to just contact, because I'm sure we can work something out if you truly want to buy something. So again, thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time.